What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Brandon Coin YouTube channel. And for reference, today is February 14th, 2022. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. But today we're talking about overvolting or overpowering graphics cards, and why you don't need to do it. It's probably not a good idea to do it, but what happens if you do it? If you do it. That sounds weird. Anyway, a lot of misconceptions around this, and I didn't even realize this was like a common topic being talked about until I saw a couple threads over on like some Facebook GPU groups, and a lot of people are saying like, "Oh yeah, pushing the power," and there are certain circumstances where I would run more power, but I wouldn't overvolt power, and we'll talk about that here in a second. I did want to bring up some examples. So right here, this is the computer that I'm on right here and right now. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Okay, yeah, so I have two 3060 version 1s in here. So these do about 50 mega hash. I am using the computer, so my display one's doing 48 and the other one's doing 49. I'm running the exact same overclocks on them. I could probably pull the power down just a touch lower on these, and I could save even more, but I'm running 118 watts a piece on them. Core clock is at 1400 and memory clock is at 8500, which comes out to be about negative 200 on the core and plus 1200 on the memory. I could lock the core, get a little bit better power also, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is where people will go and, like this for example, they'll jack the power up. So power limit 110%, whereas this one was at 70%. So now we're back over here, 110% at the same exact overclocks. I didn't change anything on the overclock. Still negative 200 and plus 1200. We're actually getting slightly lower hash rates. And people are like, why is that happening? By the way, we are mining Ethereum for reference here. There are algorithms that do benefit from more power and more core, and we'll talk about that after we get through the Ethereum talk first. So giving your card more power creates more heat. So these cards, instead of running at 118 watts, they're doing 156 and 158 watts. Doesn't sound like a lot more, but an extra 40 watts out of nowhere, almost 50 watts, is quite a bit of extra stress on it. So that can be putting heat into the memory, because a lot of people look at the core and they're like, oh, 49 degrees Celsius, this thing's ice cold. Well, a lot of cards don't report their memory temperatures, but you do get less hash rate whenever you're running hotter memory temperatures. It may still be stable, but it's not good for the longevity of the card. Overvolting your graphics card, from my experience, that's like where an overclocker will go and try to get and hit like best of runs, trying to like do benchmarks and break records. From my experience, I don't know any miners that are running their setups over 100% power, let alone at 100% power, because you're wasting power at that point. Now, can it be done? Yes. Is there anything to gain on Ethereum? No. Now, there is some gains that can be had on some core driven algorithms. And what I mean by that is Ethereum is heavily based on the memory speed for how much it can actually, like the hash rate can go up. You have to have both sides of the fence, but faster memory typically equals a higher hash rate. That's why some of these newer cards with the GDDR like 6 and so on, 6x, that faster memory speed gets more hash rate. You still do have to have a core though. You can't just set your core down to nothing. It still does have to actually compute. But now there are algorithms like, for example, Ravencoin is a little bit more core dependent. So it likes a little bit more core. You go and pull the core back too far, or you pull the power back too far, which subsequently pulls the core back. Because if you starve a graphics card of power and you turn the power limit down, you'll notice that the core will automatically go down. So for example, I did not change my core clock here. I just changed the power limit. It's running at 1717 on the core at 110% power, and at 70% power, it's running at 1477 megahertz on the core. So it's running 300 megahertz lower because it doesn't have the power to boost up all the way where it's actually targeting. because like the target boost is actually at that 1700 where that little red line is. But if it doesn't have the power, it just stays low. And that's another way of like holding it back and holding your card into an efficiency range. Now, when you're on Linux and other operating systems, there's a million ways to skin it, but you can set your overclocks all different kind of ways. I'm just showing you MSI Afterburner because it's pretty common, and I imagine I don't have a lot of my OGs or very experienced people watching the video right now. Not meaning to like call you out. If you are experienced and you're watching the video, thank you. Little bro fist for you. Appreciate you. But it seems like a lot of the newer guys were asking about the power limits and overvolting because some people are like, oh yeah, I run my card at 110% or 105%. Some cards can even go higher. They have more headroom, so you can go up to 120%. And they're like, yeah, I'm seeing awesome hash rates. And yes, maybe there is some little bit of gain, but there's the area of diminishing returns. And typically, when you're talking about mining, I keep my power limits somewhere around anywhere from the 60% range up to like 80%. You set it at 80%, and it's gonna get like darn near all the hash rate that card can get on almost any algorithm. Now there are some weird algorithms out there where it needs every bit of power, but for the most part, I'm talking about the big boys up there at the top. You know, your Ethereum, your Ravencoin, your ETC, Flux, all that kind of stuff. There's no need to overvolt your cards. So, yeah, I guess that pretty much covers that. So, if you don't agree with me or if you have something to add, I would like to hear you out and post down in the comments. If I see something fairly legitimate and not for some like crazy obscure algorithm or coin that is not profitable and maybe not mainstream, then it's, yeah. But if there's something legitimate and you actually run your cards and overvolt your cards and overpower your cards, I'd love to hear why, because I've been around quite a few people now. I've only been in the space for coming on 5 years, but that was one of my mistakes in the beginning also, is I did not pull my power back efficiently, and I ran too much power through my cards. But yeah, that's one of the things you learn pretty quick. Less power through your cards, you don't have to run your fans as hard because there's less energy, there's less like thermal energy being output into the radiators or the coolers, so to speak. So if your card's only burning 100 watts, those fans only have to cool 100 watts worth of heat dissipation, which actually I think like BTUs, it's like 3.14 BTUs or 3.41 BTUs. It's a little bit different than pi, but it's close though. It's like flip flop the numbers. But yeah, so it's like 3 point something or 3 BTUs for every watt. So if you have 100 watts, you're looking at 300 BTUs of heat coming off of that graphics card, plus or minus like a percent. So yeah, that's also why a lot of graphics cards create a lot of heat. So in the wintertime, that's great because you can use graphics cards to heat your house. But in the summertime, you don't want to do that. So you want to have your power limits set as low as you can get without killing hash rates. Know what I'm saying? All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. I much appreciate you guys. I'll see y'all down in the comments. Other than that, later. Peace out. Adios. All those kind of things. Bye.